Can't be the tiny prince.
Oh.
Your young
I've
eyes.
practiced it a few times.
Oh, great backdrop.
Regular call.
Did you do? Is that a soundtrack or is that real? You guys ready?
This is being a pain in my butt. The dogs know about the dogs
Somebody went in there.
Dr. Page, can you take that one? See the sign? This sign right here.
Oh,
It's on that.
where's Amelia?
Adoptable dogs.
Where's Amelia? No, I was gonna show, maybe just up closer, that's all. I just on the side. Not right now. Alright, you ready?
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us here to recognize National Adopt a Pet Month. As a pet owner, as a dog owner myself, I am also committed to the welfare of our animals in St. Louis County. We have 173 dogs here in the shelter, and this shelter accommodates easily about 80 dogs. So we have too many. We have little space to compassionately care for the animals that we have. And the overwhelming number of dogs creates anxiety and risk for the dogs and cats that are housed here. The dogs are at risk of spreading disease, as we had earlier this year when we had an outbreak of parvovirus here at the shelter. But because of the hard work of our staff and our volunteers, we have some recommendations moving forward to create more space at the animal shelter. And that includes more space to isolate the dogs who are sick and to keep the dogs who have been exposed to other dogs who are sick away from the rest of the dogs in the animal shelter. Now, I've asked the county council for more funding to create some more space here to isolate the dogs, and the county council is still considering that request. Unfortunately, it hasn't been acted upon yet, but we hope to be able to make more space for the dogs. Now, recently we did have some legislation passed. There was some compromise legislation that will help us here at the animal shelter, and that's a good thing, and we're grateful for that. But the council still hasn't addressed our request adequately for holding more free adoption events in St. Louis County to help the animals find a better home. Now, we have some partners and adoption agencies in the community we work with. The best practices for free adoption events are observed by other agencies in our community, other animal welfare organizations like the APA or the Humane Society. Now, we would really like to work to get more of our animals adopted. We understand that not being able to adopt them results in longer stays and more expenses, more behavior problems, and the inability to place them in a happy home. And that's one of the reasons why we're concerned about the increase in adoption fees from $40 per adoption to $80. We'd also like to have more free adoption events, and we're working with our partners in the community to do just that. And again, we would like to have more opportunities to waive our adoption fees like best practices here in the community. Now, whenever we have an adoption, there's a process to make sure we're matching our animals with an appropriate pet owner, someone who's prepared to take care of them, and we know that they'll be in a loving home and they'll have the best outcome possible. As an open shelter, we can't turn away animals, and that includes stray calls, that includes animals that don't have a home because their their pet owner has passed away and they've been surrendered. Sometimes the family moves to a different apartment, and that new apartment doesn't allow them to keep a dog. Some dogs are turned into us because their owners can no longer afford to take care of them because they've lost a job, or they've had an increase in their rent, or no longer have the finances to do that. Now, we did have 2 eviction events that happened earlier in this month, bringing in more than 20 dogs. Another puppy named Grace was found in a trash can and in desperate need of care. And we've been able to find an adoption, a foster home for Grace. In September, Animal Care and Control took 35 dogs and cats that were found along a trail at a park. Now, this shelter is run by our county's Department of Public Health. And with us today is Dr. Kanika Cunningham, our Director of Public Health. She's brought a lot of energy and good ideas to the animal shelter, into our pet adoption program. Ideas such as a foster program, which is the first one in the county that's placed a lot of animals in a happy home. She's been able to connect our animal shelter with businesses in the community to help us with foster events, businesses like Bear and Fallon's and Shafley's. These have led to some good partnerships and some happy homes for some of our animals. So I'd like to give Dr. Cunningham a chance to speak and tell us a little bit about what's happening here. Dr. Cunningham.
Thank you, Dr. Page. Thank you all. Many shelters are at or over capacity in our region. Our animals in our care deserve access to a loving home. We see this as a public health issue and potentially a public health crisis. The research shows that fee waive adoption events does not lead to animals going to abusive homes. It does not lead to dogs being used in dog fighting operations, and it does not mean an individual cannot provide quality care for their loving animal. Animal welfare is something our community care deeply about, and so do we. But with that comes the responsibility. Shelters are not a place for long-term care. It is our responsibility to provide the 5 freedoms for animal welfare, which are freedom from hunger and thirst, freedom from discomfort, freedom from pain, injury, and disease, freedom to express normal behavior, and freedom from fear and distress. Meeting the mental and physical needs of the care of our animals is a top priority for the health department, but we cannot do that with barriers in place. With this responsibility also comes a cost. Running an effective, humane shelter that gives every animal the best chance at an adoption takes people, time, and significant resources. For example, to keep a dog in our care, it costs $20 per day. The average stay in our shelter is 32 days. That means one dog costs us roughly $640 per month to care for. With about 174 dogs currently in our care, that adds up to nearly $111,000 per month to provide food, medicine, and staff time. When that number increases above 200, that's more than $128,000 per month. Caring for this many animals takes extraordinary dedication, and our team of staff and volunteers are doing a phenomenal job. I also want to thank our rescue partners who have stepped up time and time again to assist us. Since launching our new foster program earlier this year, we've seen remarkable support from our community members. We have had over 600 foster families who have opened their homes and hearts to dogs and cats in our care. This is the power of community in action and our commitment to provide positive animal outcomes. We are incredibly proud of our progress we've made, but we also know there is more work to be done. If you have the ability to foster, volunteer, or adopt, please do so. If you can donate supplies or food, please spread the word about our animal care. Please do so. Together, we can ensure that every animal in St. Louis County has the chance to live a healthy, safe, and loving life. This is what public health looks like. It's about compassion, safety, and community working hand in hand. It's about supporting the humans and animals in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cunningham, and we'd be glad to answer any questions. Anyone?
Can you talk a little bit about how, I think it was somebody on the council that said that if adoptions do go down with the increase of the pet adoption fee, that they would, look back at this legislation to maybe reverse it?
So the question is, if the adoption rate goes down, would the council consider lowering the adoption fee? I think I would direct that question to the individual council members and ask them to clarify. We're overcrowded now, and we need to do something right now to get these animals out into the community and get them into loving homes. And I hope that the people listening today and watching today will come and pick up a pet, pick up a dog. These animals are ready to go. They're ready for a healthy home, and we've got a lot of them that need a place to live. As far as the council's reaction to the policy question, I would just have to refer you back to them.
Dr. Cunningham, can you tell us how many dogs you have in here right now that are over 30 days?
Oh, not over 30 days. We have 174. We'll have to get that number to you about how many. But we do have Amelia, who's been here since June, and this was a lost dog that we found. And we are definitely struggling to get her adopted or fostered. So we also wanted to feature Amelia, and we are hopeful and grateful that maybe this spotlight will get her into a loving home, whether it's adoption or foster.
Have you all had to euthanize any dogs to control the population at all?
No, so we have not had to do that. I will say the longer dogs stay here, they do decline mentally, physically, behaviorally. And so that is one push that we need to work really hard to reduce our length of stay. So therefore we don't have to get into a scenario where we're euthanizing for poor quality of life.
And how many free pet adoption events are you all allowed right now, and how many are you looking for?
So we are not allowed to offer fee-waived adoption events at this time. Once the new legislation, is enacted, we are allowed 2 events per year consecutively, and then we can waive fees for emergencies. Right now, this is an emergency, but again, it's best practice. All of our shelter partners, when you get at or over capacity, is to waive adoption fees so we can get dogs and cats out of the shelter, because this is not a long-term place for any dog or animal to be.
Aside from the fees, what kind of barriers are you seeing at getting these animals out to new homes?
I think fees is the biggest one, especially if we want to double them to $80. If we're already seeing that as a barrier, I am not confident that we'll be able to keep up with the pace with adoptions. I think our foster program have been really great. Had a lot of families step up to help us move so many dogs out of the shelter. But right now, waiving adoption fees is one best practice that we know that can remove that barrier. On our end, we've also modified our policies to where it's judgment-free adoptions. We engage in conversation. Therefore, we can make sure that the adopter and the pet is a good match for each other.
Doctor, have you talked with the council members, and what's their justification for wanting to double this, given the situation and the history of this shelter with all the problems?
Well, one thing I've heard is that they are concerned that we have the lowest adoption fees in the region. And so while I understand that it's lower, we have to also think about, does it pose a barrier trying to double? I think a more reasonable compromise could be maybe at $60. Let's match some of our partners in the area. So therefore now we're not, too expensive. But again, there's a lot of evidence that also support that an animal shelter is not ran based off of the fees you make from adoption. So that's why it's a standard practice to waive adoption fees. I think the biggest question is, if we're going to address or look at the cost of care, the longer we keep them here, that's costing the county, not waiving adoption fees to get them into loving homes.
I think that's an important point to make. We have the most animals of anywhere in the region. And even with our adoption rates below average, we still have the most animals of anywhere in the region, and we need help finding homes for them. And it's actually costs us more to have animals here an extra week or two trying to find them a home than the extra $20 or $40 we get on adoption fees. We just need to get them placed into a happy home.
Dr. Page, does it seem a little strange that you have the county council making these decisions?
Well, the question is, why does the county council get to make this decision? This is an ordinance, and they are responsible for the budget in St. Louis County, and they're responsible for the fee structure in St. Louis County. And if they determine that we want to charge more for animal adoptions, and they have the authority to make that decision.
How's the budget coming along?
We're in conversations. We need to pass, the question is about the budget in St. Louis County. We have a 15-year gap between revenues and expenditures that we've had since 2008, and that has grown some as we have increased our deep investment in public safety in St. Louis County, and I think that was the right investment to make. The way to close that budget gap is to pass use tax or an online sales tax that almost all of our local communities have passed, and we need to do that in St. Louis County as well, and that will go a long way, if not completely close our budget gap and solve a lot of our problems.
Patrick, do you have events scheduled, or are you allowed to, like with a partner? Like I know Raising Cane's a lot of times waives, partners with Stray Rescue, and they waive adoption fees like for an entire weekend. Anything like that going on in the county?
Not yet. We do have to follow like procurement rules, and there's some rules that we have to follow. So while I think that is great, we are interested in trying to partner with organizations in which they can sponsor adoption events. We just have to follow county processes, but we can definitely do it. We just have to make sure we can follow county processes, while we're developing co-sponsored events.
Is that something the council can block?
Adoption fees?
Can they block? Yeah.
Well, I mean, can they, like if you want to partner with somebody, like say Raising Cane's, can they, and they have done pay for the adoption fees, can they block it and say, no, we can't do that?
I don't know if partners can pay adoption fees. I don't think that's possible. I don't think that is something we can do. But we can look into that.
Because I'm pretty sure Stray Rescue does it a lot. Like you'll
Yeah.
see social media posts from them
Right.
saying this coming weekend, all fees are.
Yeah, we, government has different procurement rules than nonprofits. It's just the way public bodies are put together. There are certain rules in how they spend money, how they accept money, and that's why we have to have an ordinance to allow us to accept donations. And that was recently changed to allow us to accept donations of food and medicine here at the animal shelter. And that was a good thing that was done. And that's why we set our adoption fees by ordinance. There's a lot of process whenever a government makes a decision on just about anything. So everyone in the community gets to participate in the decision.
Do you feel there's too much red tape around this specific facility?
So the question is, does government have too much red tape? I think everybody probably agrees that that's the case. You trade red tape for accountability and transparency and participation for people who are paying taxes to the government.
Dr. Cunningham, how much do you think, the fees doubling is going to impact the shelter with the adoption rate?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I do believe that adoptions are going to slow because of that, and I think our end, we're going to do all that we can to continue to push adoptions and to get pets into loving homes. But at this point, I can't say, but I do think that the adoption rate will definitely slow because of the increase, the doubling of the fee.
And I think the fee increase is challenging when we have more animals than any place in the region. I also think we need more flexibility around free adoption events with partnering agencies and businesses in the community, like a lot of other animal welfare organizations do.
Do you think this location is problematic on getting people just into the doors alone? I mean, you have Humane Society right up the street. You have the Brentwood APA location not far away. There's not much west of 270, but a lot of the county.
So the question is about the location. I don't think this location was chosen. This building wasn't designed as an animal shelter. It was a building that the county had and converted to an animal shelter. So I don't know that we would have the resources to pick a different location and take another building. It's a question, but this is the building we have, and we'll make the best out of it and work with our limited resources to take care of the animals. I wish we had more resources to make more room here to take care of the animals in a safer way, but this is what we have currently. Anything else?
And just be clear, what did the council say in response to the pre-adoption events?
Do you remember that? The pre-adoption events?
What are they saying against it, or?
In response to you guys wanting pre-adoption?
Oh, I think one of the concerns is the budget, of course. The second concern is fee-waived adoption events they believe can lead to dogs going into abusive homes or poor quality adopters, or dogs being adopted into dog fighting rings. And again, the research just does not support that.
And they know the fees if a dog is kept $30, how much at 30 days? How
I
much
think
a
the
dog?
math has been well described, and we'll continue that conversation. We don't agree with council on everything, but we agree on a lot, and we've made some progress here because of those ongoing conversations. We've got some more progress to make. We've got some more things to hash out, and we need to continue those conversations so we can take care of the animals here. And we've got too many dogs here now, and we need to get them into loving homes, and we need to have a regulatory environment here that allows us to move those dogs out quickly. And right now, there's some sort of barriers to that.
Senator, when are they gonna vote on this?
It's already been passed. The legislation to increase the fees, that's already passed, isn't it?
I think we have next Tuesday, I think
Next
it's going to go
Tuesday?
into effect.
Next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's passed. It's takes a couple of weeks for an ordinance to go into effect after it's passed, so one more week, and then the fees will double here.
What do you do in that case? I mean, can they rescind it?
If the council chose to change the policy to lower fees or to change the ordinance to allow us to have more free adoption events, they would have to pass a new ordinance. And that would take a month or so. So nothing's going to change here for a while. In the meantime, we need people to come to St. Louis County Animal Adoption Center and pick up a pet and take one of these dogs home with you. They're ready. They're ready to be adopted, and they're really great pets.
You taking any home today?
I have 2 dogs at my house, so I won't be taking any more dogs home today.
Dr. Cunningham has 2 too.
I have 2 as well.
Okay. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.